Hello, Jay Mitchell here from 410WX. So look at your weekend and upcoming work week ahead. It has been a very warm week. Hope you stayed cool. Record-breaking temperatures for, get this, 4 consecutive days. We'll talk more about that in a second, but Thursday came close to being a fifth if it weren't for thunderstorms. Just take a look at this number here. 98 came close to the record of 101 back in 1881. Wouldn't be the first time this week that we broke a record that stood since the 19th century. However, with that said, we do need more rain. We are almost half a foot in the red again. As you can see here, month by month breakdown. End of August wasn't so fruitful. So is the beginning of September thus far. So safe to say we do need rain in that department. And because of the lack of rain, our drought's worsened again, more specifically in Western Maryland, a little bit of severe drought in southern Washington County, southwestern Frederick County, and then far western Maryland. The abnormally dry range is starting to come back again. So, yes, we do need rain. As you can see here, the beginning of fall, obviously September is starting meteorological fall, not so fruitful. Kind of the reason for that this week at least, record-smashing heat. Sunday through Wednesday, we broke 4 consecutive record highs. Think about that for a second. And just feast your eyes on these. And look at the records and how long they've stood. We are breaking records that have stood at minimum 40 years. And that 100 on Wednesday, that was the first time we reached 100 in almost 3 years at BWI. Actually, over 3 years, correction. It was July of 2020, the last time we reached 100 at the airport. Warm, humid during the morning. Temperatures didn't move that much in terms of lows. And then the highs skyrocketed for a lot of us that were dodging thunderstorms. 90s pretty much everywhere in the state. Upper 90s in a lot of locations as well. Cumberland stayed cool at 84 because of those storms. 77 out in Oakland. Speaking of those storms, let me show you the radar here real quick just to show you what has happened with those storms. So if you can hang tight for me for 1 second while I get that situated here, let's do radar. As you can see here, there's that storm complex. Because of the heat and humidity that was very abundant, that caused storms to fire up. Not everybody got storms, but the ones that did got pretty intense storms. There was a 75-mile-per-hour wind report in Williamsport in Washington County, just south of Hagerstown. And in the city, Mount Washington, there was ping pong ball-sized hail. Yeah, not pretty if you ask me. So hopefully we don't have to deal with that type of severe weather this go around in the weekend. However, do be cautious of the thunderstorms that may occur because the heat and humidity will still be there for dynamics to maybe cause some strong to severe thunderstorms if conditions permit. So keep an eye on that. That is the one trade-off that we are getting in terms of getting the relief from the heat that we so desperately need. I will tell you that. Looking at the forecast ahead here, and I will start with the Euro traditionally as I do here. There's the storms on Friday into Saturday. Sunday, we will have a higher chance at storms. Football games, both weekend days could be impacted. Sports events. I think the Orioles are out of town still. They come back next week, if I'm not mistaken. However, yeah, it may not be most suitable. And there's Lee going up the eastern coastline. Right now, it's a Category 4 hurricane as of the time of this recording. But could that play a role next week? Maybe. The Euros got it cutting pretty close to where the outer bands watch are missing us, not by a whole lot. If we do miss out, that could result in waves, high surf, and rip currents if that does happen. If it moves a little bit more westward towards us, that may become a problem, especially in our eastern counties. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we head throughout the week. And when we talk again next week, that may be a point of conversation. GFS shows a similar scenario here in terms of the rainfall we get for this week. However, in terms of Lee, it's barely in the animation frame. Watch. The cold front that moves through pushes Lee a little bit more eastward, according to the GFS, to where it misses us. Not that we wish New England and the upper northeast any ill will, but the last thing we need, especially if we dodge storms this week, is a heavy amount of rain all at once, because dry, compacted soil with heavy rains all at once, that can create a big problem in terms of flooding. It all depends on how much rain we get in some areas during the weekend and the week. So we got to keep an eye on that. In terms of the immediate future, you have any plans for Saturday in terms of going to CQ Stadium, seeing the Terrapins take on the Charlotte 49ers? You will be dodging storms. There may be a suspension for lightning at some point. I'm just putting that out there. Bring the Terrapin themed poncho if you have one, or a red poncho. It will be dicey, to say the least. As for Sunday, our two NFL teams are kicking off at their home stadiums. Commanders, Cardinals in Landover at FedEx Field will be dicey. Kickoff, we may get through fine, but after halftime, I don't know. I don't know about that. It could be very dicey in that regard, so keep an eye on that. 1 o'clock kickoff also at the bank. If you're seeing the Ravens take on the Texans, kind of the same deal. So bring the ponchos. Be prepared for maybe a suspension of a player or two due to lightning. If that does happen, just be prepared for that this weekend. Speaking of the weekend, it will be warm, but not quite as warm as this week, to say the least. We will dodge thunderstorms, high chances above 50% both Saturday and Sunday. And then we have scattered chances throughout the week. Maybe a higher chance on Wednesday compared to the rest of the week. However, with that said, you want to treat every day this week like a chance for rain, a legitimate chance for rain. Friday, I'm keeping it a little bit dicey. West of the Chesapeake may be a little bit spared from leak depending on the track, but we'll have to wait and see on that because it's been a while since we had any sort of hurricane or tropical storm make landfall in very close proximity to us. I believe the last time might have been not Irene, Sandy back in 2012. Think about that. That was 11 years ago. That may be a situation that we have to watch for next week. Again, my confidence is not that high right now, but as you know, in weather, anything can change. Friday morning out in Western Maryland, even Thursday morning, pretty cool for your standards, I will tell you, for this time of the year. That may be blanket weather, and try to wear a couple extra layers if you can. Eastern Shore, pretty warm for your standards as well, at least in the early week before we cool off a little bit. Salisbury OC, still pretty warm, but we start to cool off a little bit, especially as that front starts to make its progression through Thursday to Friday with that second clearing front instead of the front that will probably take forever to pass through during the weekend. Be safe if you're heading out to the games. Stay dry, be weather aware. And one more thing, go Ravens. Let's get the first win of the season. I'm Jay Mitchell for 4-0 WX.